Okay, guys. Elena, James, Judith, Victor, where are you guys? I can't see you. All right. Open a blank page in front of you. Don't refer to your goals from yesterday. Don't look at the goals you wrote yesterday. I want you to write down your top 10 goals. Write them offhand from yesterday. Your top 10 goals. What are your top 10 goals? What are your top 10 goals? Write them. And if some of those goals come out slightly differently, that's not the problem. It's the question of practicing, of really allowing your brain, your conscious and subconscious mind to become familiar with these goals, to produce them on an instant, so that it gets to a time when you're seated in the office, you don't need a paper in front of you, you can run through all the 10 in your mind. All your 10 goals for the next 1 year. What are your top 10 goals this year? Goals are the guideposts. Goals are the light that shows you the direction you need to go. Goals are the destination you are headed towards. You are on a journey. You're headed to Mombasa, but you've forgotten to turn off from Ngong Road to Mombasa Road. You'll find yourself in Mahima Hill. What are your top 10 goals? If you're done, signal me. You could signal me with a thumbs up or somehow send me a signal, smoke signal, if you have one. I will know that you're done with your 10 goals. All right. I would like you to add 5 simple, quick things that you would enjoy doing that you didn't write down yesterday. 5 simple. This is not something that is going to take you 3 weeks or a month. These are things that you can write down and you tick them off really quickly. Exercising your muscle of, I can do this. And then you put it down and you do it and you tick it off. Your brain loves to celebrate. Your brain loves to celebrate. It can be as simple as on Thursday next week, I'll cook for myself a 3-course meal, and you do it. Your brain loves to celebrate. It can be as simple as I'm going to do 15 push-ups every day from today for the next 15 days. I like putting interim milestones so that then at the end of the milestone, I tick it off, I celebrate, then I say, okay, now I can continue with this goal. Let me do another 15 days. At the end of the 15 days, I celebrate. It is the same goal. You can tell yourself for the next 7 days, I'm going to write for 30 minutes every day. And I will celebrate on Sunday by doing X, Y, Z. Then you do it, and you're like, Sunday, I will go buy fruit and make for myself pudding, or I will take myself out and have a meal simple things. Here is my recommendation for you to have at least 10 simple short-term quick goals that you can hit in the next 30 days. That's small things you can hit in the next 30 days. It can be, we'll go visit an orphanage on next weekend on Saturday for 2 hours. It's just simple things, something you write down, but then you make sure you tick it off. And it's not for you, it's not for your conscious mind. It's just how your brain works. You come and tick it off, and it's done. You take your pen and tick it off, and it's done. And the more things you start ticking off, you will see how momentum rises, because your brain doesn't know the difference between a big goal and a small goal when it comes to celebration. It doesn't. That's why this is a very bad example, but I have heard over and over whenever I'm working with couples that what gets the lady worked up is that he went and bought me a Mercedes, but he forgot our anniversary. So in that brain, these two things are the same. So remembering the anniversary and buying the Mercedes are the same. That is unfortunately how our brain works. Our brain doesn't differentiate. It has no bias over big or small. It just has bias over done, 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 which is why some of the goals that you wrote yesterday need to be broken down so that there are many interim steps in between for your brain to celebrate. You, for example, Elena, you writing the speech is a victory. You meeting somebody to rehearse is a victory. And so you can imagine if you have 10 rehearsals, those are 10 victories. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you rehearsing the dissertation and you finally submitting the dissertation. Submitting the dissertation will be a separate victory. Like clicking submit is a victory. Saving the final version is a victory. Printing it out and holding it out, you hold it because you had decided it's a victory in advance. You hold it and you're like, yeah, it's a victory. That's why when football clubs are playing soccer, they celebrate every goal, and then they also celebrate when they hold the final trophy, right? What if every time they score a goal, they're like, okay, the journey is still long, let's just continue scoring. They don't celebrate any of the goals. They wait for the day when they will hold the trophy. Sometimes that day to hold the trophy doesn't come. But what makes the journey exciting, what keeps us glued to the screen is not the day they will hold the trophy. It's not even when they score. It's when they take the ball away, when they display some beautiful movements here and there. Sometimes we celebrate, especially for those of us who are Arsenal fans, we just celebrate those first 2 or 3 months when our name is at the top just because of the alphabetical order. We start with A, we start at the top of the table. It's upon you and I to learn how to trick our brain so that then our brain doesn't give up on us. If you wake up daily at a specified time for 1 week, that is a huge victory that you have to celebrate. Unfortunately, you might end up celebrating by sleeping in, which breaks the momentum you had in the first place. You could start, I mean, you could end up starting sleep in when it has really, really stuck as a habit. But when it's still early, it's not time for you to start sleeping in. So yesterday we set 10 goals for the next 1 year, 10 1-year goals. This is just part of a much bigger picture. Some of you specified goals which will probably need you to take more time, or which unless you really buy into it, seeing it can start convincing your brain that this one is just, your brain can become an obstacle if you don't authentically 100% believe that it's going to happen. If you build enough belief, then you can go for any goal, no matter how big it is, because what matters is not whether or not you reach the goal. It is, who are you becoming? Are you becoming courageous enough to believe in a goal that big? Are you becoming disciplined enough to do what it takes to move towards that goal? Are you developing faith deep enough for you to notice opportunities around you that other people miss just because you are pursuing this goal? So at the end of the day, it is what transformation happens in you, what change happens in you as a result of you having committed yourself to a journey like this. If, for example, you are preparing to go run in the Olympics, what kind of person must you become? You must become very healthy, and that's a result of the decisions you're making in terms of what you eat and how you spend your time, how often you run, how intensely you run, so that the goal is the end point. The one thing you will carry away is the growth that happens inside you. Who must you become for you to qualify for this goal? Who must you become for you to attract this goal into your life, for you to make this goal a reality in your life? I can have a goal of bench pressing 1,000 kilograms, right? The 1,000 kilograms is not a goal that can be missed. That goal can be hit. It can be hit. The question is, will I become the kind of person who can hit that goal? Your goal is physical. Your goal is it doesn't move from where it is. It remains there. Will you become aligned enough, ready enough, committed enough, focused enough that you can move to that goal? Because it is you who has to move. And you have to move physically, you have to move emotionally, you have to move intellectually, you have to move spiritually. That is the goal. The goal is somewhere else. There is a band connecting you to that goal. It is you pulling on this rope so that you move towards the goal. Are you committed to pull long enough, to pull hard enough, to pull consistently enough, to pull even when you have nothing left inside you for you to get to that goal? So I need you to see it from that perspective, that 500 million, 500,000, 500, 5 million, whatever amount of money. People have gotten that money. That money is a physical figure. That money doesn't change. Stays there. Will I get there? And what will it take for me to get there? I'm hoping that in the process of having this conversation, you have completed writing your 10-year goals, okay? You've completed writing your 10-year goals. I want us to do a very quick exercise. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. It is 10 years ago. Okay? It's 10 years ago and you're introducing yourself to someone. You're introducing yourself to someone and you're like, hey, I am so-and-so. I work here or I live here or I study here. And right now, I would love to become or to achieve X, Y, Z. And in the next 10 years, this is where I see myself. This is what will have happened in the next 10 years. This is the direction that I am going. I will go to these places. I will meet these people. I hope you can at least see yourself where you are 10 years ago, right? So now it is you looking at yourself 10 years ago. It is you looking back and you're seeing the person you were 10 years ago. What you're wearing, where you stayed, the circle of friends you had. The things that really, really mattered, which you now wonder, oh, what happened? Some people you thought you would never be able to breathe if they moved 2 meters away from you. And now here you are today. Okay, now let's cross over. So it is 10 years from today. It's 10 years from today. When you think 10 years, does it make you slightly anxious or does it make you excited? It's 10 years, you have accomplished your most important goals. Where are you living? What is your circle of friends like? Your family? How is your body 10 years from today? How much money do you have? How healthy are you? How is your attitude, your faith, your discipline, self-discipline, your conviction, your commitment? How is your impact as a person? If I came and spoke to somebody in your family, what will they say about you? If I spoke to your partner, if you're married, what will they say about you? If I spoke to the clients you serve, what will they say about you? If I asked you to introduce yourself to me, how different will you sound then than now? Okay, open your eyes. I would like you to now write down, like, if you could achieve 5 powerful goals that will have the most impact in your life over the next 10 years, what will those goals be? Five impactful goals for you over the next 10 years. What would those goals be? 10 years from today, where would you be? What direction will your life have taken? What new experiences would life have presented to you? But it's not accidental. Mostly it's because that's what you've chosen. If you haven't finished doing that, you can always finish after the class. Of the 5 goals, if you've written 5, if you've written 4 or 3, let's work with what you have. Of those 5 goals, what are your top 3? What are your top 3 goals? Of those 3, what are your top 2 goals? Which of the two, which of those 3, if you could, say that of these 3, these 2 are the real deal? It's an emotional decision. Sometimes you get torn between 2 or 3 different goals. Right? Of those 2 goals, which one comes top for you? Okay, now do this. We are going to do a similar exercise like what we did yesterday. So draw 5 horizontal lines which start from 0 to 100%. 5 horizontal lines, they each start from 0 to 100%. And now you're going to rate yourself specifically related to your 10-year goals. And you are rating yourself on the overall vision of you 10 years from today. Who you will be, what kind of life you will be leading, what you will have in your life, what kind of experiences you will have access to if you choose. So you're rating yourself overall. So 10 years from today, how will your self-belief be? What will be your self-belief on a scale of 0 to 100%? What will be your self-belief 10 years from today? What will be the depth of your faith? The depth of your faith. And that includes religious faith, but it goes beyond that. It is your faith in the opportunities of every day, your faith in the people that you work with and you serve, your faith in your family, your faith in your own goodness and your own ability, your opportunities to grow. It's your faith, it's your openness to receive what life has for you, what God has for you. It goes beyond confessing a certain particular religion. So what will be your faith? Number three, what will be your level of commitment or your decision capacity? What will be your level of commitment on a scale of 0 to 100%? Number four, what will be your intensity of focus? What will be your intensity of focus? And finally, what will be your what will be your self-discipline? What will be your self-discipline? How solid or firm will be your self-discipline? That's 10 years from today, right? Now I want you to mark on the same lines where you are today. And don't think about what you wrote yesterday. It's about where you are today with regards to each of those. Where are you in your self-belief, your faith, your decision, your focus, and discipline? Where you want to be 10 years is fixed. It's there. It will not move towards you. It's you who has to move towards it. But you have to become clear what the gap is between where you are now. What's the gap between where you are now and where you want to go? Let's hear about the 5-year goals. 5-year goals that you have set. Let's start off with James.
So my 5-year goals, I had only come up with 4, and here they are. So I would. Goals. Was it 5-year goals or 10-year goals?
10-year goals. It's 5 goals for the next 10 years.
5, 10 years.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So my first one was to become an oncologist. My second one was building my, for lack of a better term, net worth to up to $4 million.
Mm-hmm. James, unfortunately, your
does a lot to help people reach their full potential.
So and, I'm sorry, James. Yeah, so your we missed. So you mentioned the oncologist. You mentioned your financial goal. What came after that? You were frozen for a while.
Oh.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
After that was becoming both a husband and a father, and doing a really good job at that.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of them. And mm-hmm. The final one was becoming having my own company that will do a lot to help people reach their full potential.
Yeah, I love them. I love them. So let's dissect one of these. Your long-term goals have something in common that I see. That you becoming more disciplined and more focused will affect all these goals almost instantaneously, and I assure you 100% that you will get where you need to go. You will get where you need to go. So let's look at your career goal on becoming an oncologist. What does that path look like for you?
The path step by step.
Yes. Yeah, so how do you become an oncologist? Now you're holding the rope here. Oncology is an endpoint that does not change. It won't come to you. You have to go to it. So what are you going to pull on this rope to get there?
Okay. Well, I have to get through my 3 years of clinical medicine, after which I have to go through the 7 years of actual medicine.
Yes.
Before I then specialize into oncology.
Okay. Okay. Where are you so far in clinical medicine? James, unfortunately, your system keeps hanging. James will come back to you later. Let's go with Brainy.
Okay, so is this one a 10-year goal or?
We are looking at the 10-year goals, yes.
For the 10 goals, right? Or 5 goals?
So the 5 goals, the 10 goals are the 1-year goals.
Yeah.
So we set the 10 1-year goals yesterday, which I asked you to write again.
Oh, okay.
And then I asked you to add some 5 short-term quick hit goals, low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
Right? And then now I asked you to visualize and see where you are 10 years ago and where you will be 10 years from today and write those goals.
Those were 5, right?
Yes, those were 5. Yeah. So essentially you should have by now, if you have written all of them, you should have 20 goals, which means you have 10 1-year goals, and then you have 5 very quick hit goals, and then you have 5 10-year goals.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I start with the 10-year goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first one is emotionally, mentally, and spiritually fit. Number 2 is I'm a certified therapist. Number 3 is I'm a certified finance business owner online. Number 4 is I have $500,000 on my bank account in saving. Number 5 is I have a dog in my home. And then the next one is I'm flexible in yoga. And another one is I'm a successful business owner running a spiritual healing and mental illness center in Nakuru.
Mm-hmm. So most of these are similar to yesterday. So are you taking some of those from yesterday and pulling them forward?
No, they just came from my head.
Okay. That's what I'm confirming. So this, when you start to seeing this kind of pattern, it really shows you what direction you are poised to go towards right now, and finding that coherence is extremely important. Seeing that you have the goals you have in 1 year, they contribute to the goals you have in 10 years. Because if the goals in 1 year don't contribute to the 10 years, it means the 10-year goals have 9 years to work with, because most of this year will be consumed by another set of goals. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's seeing that coherence, because remember, we are using goals to stimulate growth. We are using goals as a tool. Our endpoint is not goals. You will hit goals and then you will ask yourself, then what? But if you hit growth, it accumulates, it builds on itself on an ongoing basis. So goals are just a tool. We are using a tool to get ourselves more consistent. Like I've said before, humans work best with 2 things, with 2 conditions: deadlines and expectations. When you have deadlines and expectations put together, you can do anything. You can do anything. You can read anything. You can learn anything. You can speak any language that you need to. If I sent you to Japan and you have 1 year for you to start doing a master's program, you will learn Japanese. If I sent you to Russia, in 6 months, you will learn enough Russian to go in and order a meal and call for a taxi and sit in a class and understand what is going on. Deadlines and expectations. You are not bored. You are just lacking appropriate deadlines and significant expectations. That's it. You are not distracted. You just don't have enough expectations and enough deadlines upon you. And unfortunately, if you wait for someone else to put those on you, you can wait for a lifetime. But if you learn to put that on yourself, today is Sunday, it is 5 a.m. What under heaven am I doing in the library at this time? That's because I have placed an expectation upon myself, an expectation to truly confirm that I believe in the things I teach, to review them so that I can apply them more, but also as an opportunity for me to continue perfecting my ability to teach and share this content with other people. So these are my goals, but I know the growth I'm seeking out of this. Prove to myself that I can become disciplined. I'm training to become a cardiologist. When I become a cardiologist, it's going to be very busy. But I don't want that busy life to take me from the one thing I love to do, teaching and coaching. That's one thing that I don't want my profession to take away from me. So you have to put expectations upon yourself. You have to put your own deadlines, because some of the goals you have, there is no class you will sign for that will put those deadlines upon you. You have to do it yourself. So thank you, Brainy. James, unfortunately, the system took you off before you could finish, but we'll come back to you. Let's go on with Ndungi.
Hi. Am I supposed to read the 5 impactful goals or?
Yes, let's work on the 10-year goals.
So these are my my 5 impactful 10-year goals. For me is to, in the next 10 years, to influence policy change at a global level. Influence a sort of revolution or change where the world will not be seen as a monetary place, but where people can exchange skills for skills, not monetary for skills. There are 3. The last one is to have formed a global partnership foundation that provides education to the less fortunate. Yeah.
So I see all your 3 goals, the ones you've already put down, they have something to do with influence, leadership, and partnership.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yes. So
yeah.
Here is my contribution to you. Which of this is the top goal for you?
Where the second one, where people can influence change, where people can exchange skills for skills.
Okay.
Not skills. Yeah.
So let's think through them together, because for me they have a common thread, that they require you to become a thought leader. They require you to become established enough that your voice matters. The question is, what is it going to take for you to become that established? So the goals you've written down are what you may be able to do when you get there. The bigger goal for you is, who should you have become in 10 years for you to be able to have this kind of impact? Who should you have become? Number one, what area will you have developed expertise? And that expertise has to start from today. How many books will you have read in that area? How many articles will you have written, or how many speeches will you have given in that area? How much time every day will you have spent thinking about that area and writing down your original thoughts? If you're becoming a thought leader, it means you are leading in thought. And leading in thought requires that you are able to generate your own thoughts. And unfortunately, our brains are like a fertile ground. You have to put in a lot of plant a lot of seeds to see what germinates. So you put in a lot of seed through going to seminars and going through coaching and reading, and then thinking to distill what comes out for you. Ndungi, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
If you could become an expert in one area, what area would that be for you?
International relations.
International relations. The question is, what will differentiate you from another expert in international relations?
I think the view of diplomacy as a tool to influence change, not just in the global community, but down to those people perceived as the voiceless, maybe.
Yeah. So two things in my view, two things that will go together. Number one, you need a financial goal that gives you enough muscle for you to say, and everybody's like, Ndungi is speaking. Listen, everyone. That's indispensable. You need a clear financial goal that gives you that independence. So that if 7 years from today you are like, I want to go to Harvard Kennedy School for a 3-month course on international diplomacy, right? You pay your air ticket and you're out. You don't have to wait for anybody to sponsor you, right?
Yeah.
That's one part. The other part is, 10 years from today, if I come and interview you, will I go away saying, man, this must be one of the best minds on international relations in this country?
Yes.
Where you are going, where we are going, all of us, it's no longer going to be about position. It's not going to be about position. If it was about position, right now, we wouldn't be being influenced by someone who all they do is just twerk on Instagram and suddenly they are being interviewed on TV. It is going to be influence of minds. How do you influence minds from your domain? Here is the vacuum we have, especially in Kenya. Here is the vacuum we have. We have so many professionals, but so few thought leaders. So many professionals, but so few thought leaders. We have university professors in international relations who can't explain what's happening between the US and Russia, the US and China in practical terms that an ordinary person would understand them. That's because this person is a professor of international relations, but they're not plugged into what's happening in society. They know what's in the books, but they can't take what's in the books. They are very good with specific thoughts, but they are not a leader in thought. In other words, you will have to reach a place where you are combining thought and influence. And influence is what makes you a leader. But you are a leader who is able to take what you have learned and use it in a practical way. So Ndungi, for you, first goal is going to be about who you have to become. The goals you have right now, those are outcomes. You have become such an influential thought leader that right now, when you speak at international conferences, everyone listens. I hope that makes sense. And then you need a goal about your freedom. Financial freedom is indispensable to all of us. It's totally indispensable to all of us. Right, next, let's go with Brain. We've spoken with Brainy, we've spoken with Ndungi. James, we had covered a little bit of yours. Judith?
Okay, so I'm going to start. So my 5-10-year goals, the first one is to become, I'm becoming an established global health researcher. Number 2, I am attaining financial security by having properties that generate income. I am becoming a skilled research analyst. Number 4, I am running programs to help others know their intended purposes in God. And number 5 is I am helping my kids to know themselves, and in 5 years they'll be able to know their talents, and they're already practicing what they are actually talented in.
Yeah. Thank you, Judith. Which is your top goal among these ones?
So my top goal is becoming a skilled research analyst.
What does that look like for you? You mentioned learning the R program. What else? What does it look like for you? What is it you have to do, or who do you have to become to achieve that goal?
So I'm going to start like with the R program. Once I'm good with the R program, of course, I'll need to add like other programs like SAS. And then I should be able to do like quality analysis and also contribute to the, let me say, like when they're writing the research projects, I can be able to come up with the analytic methods for, like, contribute to the analytic methods and plans for that.
Yeah.
And finally, I'll be that person who will analyze that data. So at least in 5 years, I should have at least had, I'm giving myself like 2 years maximum.
Yes.
To be well acquainted with everything around analysis. And then
that's fantastic.
Like for the next 3 years, and then I should be able to do that and now establish partnership with other global health researchers.
That's great. What is your timeline for learning R?
1 year, like
1 year.
It was in the 1 year goal.
Okay. 1 year, but R is something that maybe you might even find that you're going quicker than you anticipated, as long as you do it. You need to do it in a way that stretches you slightly. Yeah, you need to stretch yourself a little, just a little bit, because the difference between you and all the other coaches that we are with on the call is that you are in an environment that has so many opportunities, but sometimes I feel ashamed when you find people who are so focused. They're in this environment, but they're so focused on what is wrong, what is lacking, how difficult it is. If you push yourself, you will be shocked at how quickly you can hit this goal that you have set. And properties.
Yeah, so I can shorten it, like maybe maximum of 6 months.
Yeah.
And just looking at how my schedule is so tight.
Yeah.
I can do that.
So that's it. You can adjust those. It's a 1 year goal, but it doesn't mean it will be accomplished at the end of the 1 year. You can hit it earlier. By 6
You're
months.
Breaking a bit.
That is not good news. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can do it quicker. It's a question of giving yourself deadline and expectation, creating a timeline and measuring yourself against the timeline, so that when life becomes too busy for you to keep up, you can make adjustments, but having specific timelines is what will push you to get to it. And so thank you, Elena.
Yes. So we start with the 1 year goal.
No, let's go with the 10-year goals, the 5 goals for 10 years.
Okay, so my 10-year goals are, I'm a business owner of a business that operates without my presence, empowering entrepreneurs into entrepreneurship in a practical way.
Yes.
That's number 1. I am earning rental income from a group of rental properties I own. I am taking 2 annual vacations globally. I am writing a book and influencing thought leadership on personal finance, strategy, and travel. I am self-actualized, disciplined, and a role model of being impeccable with my word and embodying excellence. Number 4, I am happily married. Then number 5, I actively engage in board membership. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I have, we've had all your goals. So what are your top 2 goals?
My top 2 goals is that I'm happily married, and I'm a business owner operating with the business operating without my presence, empowering entrepreneurship in a practical way.
Yeah. That's great. So both the one thing that both of these require, which is the reality for everyone's 10-year goals. The one thing that your 10-year goals are going to require is a new you. Look at the rating you gave yourself on self-belief, faith, decision, focus, and discipline. Your 10-year goals are going to require that gap to shrink. So it doesn't shrink by the 100% coming down to 80. It shrinks by your 60, 70, 80, or whatever, where you start from moving towards the 100%. So it's going to require your self-belief to catch up, right? It's going to require consistency, even just in terms of thinking about the goal. So for example, your top goal is getting happily married, and the other one is business ownership. How you see yourself right now might be in some ways incompatible with those 2 goals being 100% fulfilled. But once you change how you see yourself, it becomes almost automatic. It becomes, let me give you an example. In 2013, I contested for politics. I wanted to become a member of parliament. That was a decision that was made, and I made it like 2 months too. And I spent 2 weeks of my vacation campaigning, right? Then I showed up and I said, my name is Dr. Mogire. Finally, you have a savior. I have arrived, and I'm speaking in vernacular. So when it comes to my vernacular Kikisi, I am as fluent as a Spanish guitar. I am fluent. When I speak, I can hypnotize the elderly. So I showed up, and suddenly people are like, there is a new contestant. He's a new contestant. He is a doctor, which means he must have a lot of money. Oh, this time around, shock on them. I didn't have enough money to dish around. But here is what happened. I started seeing myself differently because everywhere I went, I was no longer Dr. Mogire. I was Honorable Dr. Mogire. I'm like, it feels nice. I was no longer just Job. I was like Muheshimiwa. Everywhere I go, I'm driving by the road. I'm like, Muheshimiwa, Muheshimiwa from the roadside. I started seeing myself differently. Then I realized that our politicians, for example, they act with entitlement because they have learned to see themselves entitled to being treated in a special way. That's why they would, they don't believe in, they come to a traffic jam and they sit there until it opens up. They will overtake on the opposite side of the road. It's that entitlement. I give you that example to show you that the 10-year goals are going to require you to see yourself differently than you see yourself now. It's going to require you to narrow that gap. 100% is not coming down to you to 50. It is your 50 and 60 that must move towards the 100%, so that that gap eventually is so narrow or even disappears. For every one of you, then the gap between how you see yourself, how focused you are, how much discipline you have, how much faith you have, how much self-belief you have, if that gap narrows, you don't need to push yourself to act in a certain way. That behavior becomes almost automatic. transforming yourself, you are breaking through your own resistance. You're breaking through your own unbelief. You're breaking through your own indiscipline. You're breaking through your own distractions. That is what breakthrough is about. Persisting at what you want so long that it becomes automatic. It becomes totally, absolutely automatic. Right now in the country, there is in Kenya, you look at what's happening, and for some reason, it has now seemed normal to think of William Ruto as a potential president, right? There is a time when nobody imagined of him becoming president, right? And that is the power of the image. That image reaches a place where it looks like it's automatic. There are days when Kalonzo Musyoka used to seem like an automatic future president. But that image changed in the minds of Kenyans at some point for some reason, right? There is a time when Uhuru used to be just another of characters in the Kenyan political landscape. But now it seems normal to think of him as president. I'm not using these political examples because of their political value. I'm using them to show you that it comes to a time when you and your goal become inseparable. And you become inseparable because your own image has changed so much. You've gotten to where what that goal requires for you to reach it. I hope that's something so important. I hope you get it, and I hope you get it beyond intellectual. I hope you get it beyond intellectual, the deeper level. I have a goal of speaking to audiences everywhere. Everywhere. I have a goal of speaking to audiences everywhere. I have to see myself. I have to see myself standing in front of 10,000 and speaking as though I'm speaking to one. I have to see myself speaking to audiences in countries that I've never even been to, but still being able to connect. It is me who has to move to where that goal is. There are audiences of 50,000, 25,000, 30,000 gathering across the world, okay, before Corona, but yes, there are. And people are standing in front of those audiences and speaking to them. So that is not what needs to change so that I can go there. That's already there. The question is, will I be ready enough if I was given that opportunity? Remember, we did the example of you going to Botswana? And then your system started pouring adrenaline. Will I be in a place where I can show up and make it happen? So thank you, Elena. Victor. Victor, are you on?
Yeah, I'm on.
Go ahead.
Okay. I looked at my goals. One of the goals I mentioned yesterday, established educational character. I saw, I've seen that is a big goal. And so I've put it on a 10-year goal. So it's about building character and giving out people life skills. The only thing lacking in that particular goal is a deadline and timelines, because I've already registered a name, by the way, and I've listed the areas that I would want to provide education on. Now, there's people I normally call them mastermind people to help me through this. So it is lacking those people because it's huge. I cannot do it alone, and then it's lacking timeline. And this is one of my biggest goals, by the way. It's something I've been thinking about throughout. But its hugeness is making me just look at it, not doing anything, because I can only maybe tackle a part of it. Maybe now here I need to talk to a few people. If they believe in it, then we do it. Yeah. And then my other goal is, it is tied to my career, established software engineer. I want to seek a master degree. I have no timeline in this, but I want to do a master degree in computer science. And that's the area that I want to be a thought leader in computer science. Then the third one, chess. This one is, I'm passionate. This is my hobby. I've done it so for like 10 years, and I'm already coaching by the young kids. My goal here is to become a certified FIDA instructor. That's the highest chess coaching certification. It requires a lot to reach there. It really requires a lot. So here I also have to put a timeline so that I can prepare myself for that. And then my last goal, which is my plan is, it's for retirement. I want to establish a real estate. So this one is in 10 years, but it probably will take more than even 10 years. But this is my last goal, real estate.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Victor. So the Character Institute, get your master's degree, chess and real estate. Yeah. Yes, your first goal is huge.
Yeah.
But that's if you think of your first goal in terms of it being completed. What is going to keep you stuck is if you are wondering how you will have 4 or 5 different branches of this center across the country, right? It's okay. That goal needs to be broken down. And this is for everyone. And this for everyone, especially Brainy, Ndungi, and James, right? Most of the people you are here to influence are not people anywhere close to your age range. You have time to grow massively. You have time to grow to an extent where the day you meet, if you met yourself after you've grown, you wouldn't even know yourself, right? So for example, James, I know how passionate you are about the students in high school right now. They are not your audience. If I come and speak to those students today, they will take a lot more from me than they will take from you. That's the reality. Your impact is going to come as a result of your growth. So I want you to prioritize goals that force you to grow. Prioritize goals that force you to grow. It is not time for you to measure your impact. If you measure impact, you are connecting your growth to significance. How significant will I be? How big will this be? How many people will talk about it? Will media come and cover it? That is irrelevant where you are right now. It's totally irrelevant. Presume that you are invisible, and the only way you will become invisible if you have authentic growth. When you have authentic growth here, you don't have to advertise yourself. You show up, you open your mouth, and people are like, come and speak to our school, right? Come and speak to our institution. So I'm saying this as a response to Victor. So Victor, you don't need an institute to start teaching character skills. You need a passion, which you already have. You need a curriculum. You need a name of a program. You just need to commit yourself to show up in 2 schools a month and speak to Form 3s or Form 4s or Class 7, Class 8 about character. That's it. For 3 years, that's all you're doing externally. You're just showing up and speaking to them. Internally, you are building your own character, but you're also continuing to write the curriculum about these areas, right? You don't know the kind of people you need in the mastermind for it to work. You might find every person you bring into the mastermind will have their own agenda. They will have their own interest. There's a reason why they're signing up. You can get people join you in the vision, but they dilute the vision. You have to become an orc of your own vision with roots so well established that even if somebody comes with 5 million, but they are not right for the vision, you say no. The vision is ready. The audience is ready. The question is, are you ready? It's going to take time for you to get ready. Don't be in a hurry. You can do this when you are 40, Victor. And at that time, you are doing it with such conviction and such impact, and it works. But you don't wait to start doing it when you are 40. You start taking the actions you can now. You do the best you can and do all that you can with what you have right now. Start writing every day, start reading, identify the 2, 3, or 4 books that are aligned to character. Stop reading other things for now and read only in that area. Read that area, read those books over and over. Read the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Start teaching, go to schools and speak to them about the habit of proactivity or the habit of beginning with the end in mind, right? Start training yourself to think about an area over and over until you become deep enough in that area, right? For Judith, continue practicing our program, but start reading about articles about who have been the best data analysts before, right? And what kind of legacy they leave behind. What are the new thoughts? What are the blogs where data analysts, have conversations? On LinkedIn, who are the biggest biostatisticians and data analysts? Who is the best person in qualitative research currently? What other software are people beginning to use? What other tools are people beginning to use? It's you exposing your mind and forming your thoughts so that when you learn this skill, for example, the art program, it is planted on a very broad base where you show up and say, ladies and gentlemen, in the art program, let's use this application or this formula and this formula. But I've also seen that other people are beginning to think in this direction. You are not just offering tools like everyone else. You are deep. Brainy, if you are running, for example, you're looking at starting to run a healing center, this is the time to start plugging into any organizations that deal with groups that have emotional needs. For example, like the gender violence centers, wherever they are, go there and speak to the nurses who have been there for 4 or 5 years. What are you learning? What are you seeing? Right? Maybe it is time for you to come up with a model that nobody else is using. And if you're going to depend on what other people have been doing or what they have written, that might not be enough, right? Start listening every day, like, what clues did I pick today that the people I'm interacting with need emotional healing? That kind of thinking proactively on an ongoing basis. Becoming an influence, a thought leader in international relations. Which blogs are you reading and which articles have you committed to read? Which writers, whose articles you're committing to read every day? Like every day I'm reading 2 articles in this area. In 1 year of reading an article at the quality that the likes of Obama write, if you read something like that every day, you walk into an international relations master's class and you're like, I think this class needs to end so that me and I can have a conversation with the lecturer, because you have gone beyond the content of the class. You are at the level of thought. You are past ideas. You are at the synthesis of these ideas. And that's the discipline. That's how the people around you are like, oh, Ndungi, you can't take him away from international relations. The best compliment you want to hear people say is that Ndungi drinks, eats, sleeps, dreams, and walks international relations. That's because they see it. They find you in a matatu, there you are seated with a book about international relations, right? They look at some of what you're watching at home, you're like, no, change channels. Okay, don't move from Al Jazeera. Oh, they have finished the story about Lebanon. Okay, what else is available? Because your mind gets to a place where it's aligned. That is the direction it is going. Where is Elena? Elena, do you have a book about relationships that you are reading on an ongoing basis? we could speak about that. Yeah, and about what was your other goals? A book about finance.
Yeah.
Here's my challenge. Here's my challenge. Create a title of the book, right? Create a title of the book and print a colored page which has the title of the book and Elena or Pio at the bottom, and put it on the wall in your bedroom. I'm telling you something that I have. If you walk into my small sitting room area, you will see 4 different titles of books on the wall. These are books that I know will come out. The titles might change, but the idea is fixed in my mind. I already have 2 books written. I've probably 4 written, but not published. So I know the power of your mind keeping saying it. So make it visual. Victor, the name of that institute with the logo, paste it somewhere in your bedroom. I have one of the books on the ceiling because this one is going to be the first one that comes out. So I will wake up and I'm like, oh, yes. And I usually read out the title aloud to myself. This thing is about you seeing your goal. You seeing your goal all the time, seeing it over and over and over, right? So, Brainy, Victor, Andungi, and James, we'll find a way to specifically figure out what the path looks like for you, because I don't want you to be in a rush. I don't want you to hurry. I don't want you to worry about the outside. The game is inside, all of it. That game is here, right? That game is here. You need the big goal, the one we need to figure out down to the one goal that is going to really, really move you. The one goal that is really going to change you. And then we wrap around all the other goals around it. And it is going to be your identity changing, your identity as a person, and your skills. Your skills, whether the skills are for career. So for example, James, you becoming an oncologist is going to require you becoming a clinical mind who thinks about problems very differently. You are very broad. For example, right now, you are in clinical medicine school. Because you're going to be an oncologist, you're not reading clinical medicine books. You're reading the books that people doing medicine are reading. So right now, you are reading the anatomy books and you are reviewing an anatomy atlas, because this is where you are going. And you know you are going there. You're reviewing the anatomy atlas, you are engaging with the cases that they are solving. So that if it's a case of fever, you are thinking through that case of fever the way you would think about it if you were a physician rather than just a clinical officer. Because clinical officer for you is a stepping stone, right? When you are on a stepping stone, it doesn't mean you only look at that stepping stone. You look at the next steps that are ahead of you. I hope everyone on the call, you get what I mean, that it's time for you to become more clear about the goals, but to think forward. So your assignment today, in addition to what I said yesterday, spend time asking yourself about the how. But don't get stuck on you knowing what you need to do. It's a question of you figuring out what will have to happen. And the most important question is who you have to become. So how will you become the kind of person it takes to achieve these goals? That is the how. How will you become? And it's going to depend on self-belief, faith, decision, focus, and discipline. So those will be the 2 sessions on goal setting from next week. That's from tomorrow. We shift our attention to a different area. I hope you have picked something enough for you to work with. We will have a session on personal vision, because now personal vision has to be the umbrella under which we continue working on each of these areas. How do you create a vision powerful enough that it takes you from Sengera village to wherever you want in the world, if you want? It takes you from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. I hope you found value in today's session. I'm going to stop the recording, then we will do a quick reflection.